Languages might seem all proper and polished in textbooks, but dig a little deeper, and you'll find some seriously strange stuff hiding between the lines. From tongues that whistle to words with no vowels, the world of language is way weirder than your English teacher ever told you. So get ready to raise your eyebrows, scratch your head, and maybe even laugh out loud, because these language facts are anything but ordinary. Number 1. Some languages have no word for no. Some languages in the world do not have a direct word for no, which might sound surprising at first. This doesn't mean that the people who speak these languages can't refuse or disagree, it just means they express negation differently. For example, in the Paraha language spoken by a small indigenous group in the Amazon rainforest, there is no single word that directly translates to no. Instead, speakers communicate disagreement or refusal through tone, context, or longer expressions like "I don't want that" or "that didn't happen." Similarly, some Aboriginal Australian languages also lack a specific word for no, relying instead on body language, repetition, or descriptive phrases to convey refusal. This reflects how language is deeply shaped by culture. In societies where harmony and indirectness are valued, bluntly saying no might be considered too harsh or impolite. So instead of a single word, people might use softer or more nuanced ways to disagree or decline. Number 2. The word alphabet is literally just two letters mushed together. The word alphabet is actually a mash-up of just two letters, but not from English. It comes from the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and beta. When you put them together, you get alphabet. So essentially, the word we use to refer to the entire collection of letters is based on the first two letters. This naming goes back to the ancient Greeks, who borrowed their writing system from the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians had their own set of letter names, but the Greeks adapted them, starting with alpha and beta, and the concept stuck. Over time, alphabet became the general term for any ordered set of letters used in a language. So when you say alphabet, you're literally saying a B. Number 3. The word girl used to mean any young person. In earlier stages of English, the word girl didn't carry the strictly feminine sense it does today. In Middle English, forms like girl, girl, or girl simply meant young person or child, with no particular reference to gender. If you were a teenager in, say 1300, you might be called a girl regardless of whether you were male or female. Writers of the time even distinguished boys from girls by pairing girl with another word. A knave girl indicated a young male, while a maid girl signified a young female. As late as the 15th century, you might see lines in a poem or a legal record referencing a girl child simply to underline youth, rather than sex. Today, when we say girl, we almost always mean a young female, but language scholars remind us that centuries ago, that same word embraced all of childhood. Number 4. There's a language without numbers. In a remote region of the Brazilian Amazon, there exists a small indigenous community called the Paraha, whose language defies many of the expectations we have about how human communication works. One of the most fascinating things about their language is that it doesn't contain words for specific numbers. There's no 1, 2, or 3, not even a word for many in the way we think of it. Instead, the Paraha people use approximate terms like a few or a lot, depending on context. This has fascinated linguists for decades because it challenges the idea that numerical concepts are universal. In fact, research shows that the Paraha don't even use counting in daily life, not because they can't, but because their culture hasn't developed a need for it. They live in small groups, don't accumulate possessions, and their transactions are typically simple and immediate. It's a reminder that language shapes the way we think, and that different cultures may organize reality in ways that are almost unimaginable from our own perspective. Number 5. There's a word for throwing someone out of a window. Believe it or not, there's actually a word for the oddly specific act of throwing someone out of a window, and that word is defenestration. The term comes from Latin, de, meaning down from, and fenestra, meaning window. The term became especially famous thanks to a couple of dramatic historical events, particularly the defenestrations of Prague. In one of the most well-known cases in 1618, 2 Catholic officials were thrown out of a castle window by angry Protestants, an act that helped spark the 30 Years' War. Miraculously, the men survived the fall, reportedly because they landed in a pile of manure. While it's obviously not a common occurrence today, the fact that there's a single word for such a specific and extreme act is part of what makes language so strange and fascinating. Number 6. In German, Gift means poison. In English, the word gift is something positive, usually a present or something given generously. But in German, the same word, gift, has a very different, even dangerous meaning. It actually means poison. This difference in meaning is an example of what's known as a false friend in linguistics, words that look or sound the same in 2 languages but have completely different meanings. The reason for this lies in the history of the word. In Old High German, gift originally meant something that was given, much like the English word. But over time, in German, the meaning narrowed and took on a more ominous tone. Gift came to specifically refer to substances given to cause harm, especially poison. Meanwhile, in English, the meaning stayed positive, continuing to refer to something given out of kindness or celebration. This linguistic twist can be both amusing and confusing for English speakers learning German, and vice versa. It's a great reminder that even familiar-looking words can have surprising meanings in other languages, and why it's always worth learning a bit of context when picking up a new one. Number 7. There's a language that has no words for left or right. There's a language spoken in parts of Australia called Gugu Yimithir that doesn't use words like left or right. Instead, it relies entirely on cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, to describe spatial relationships. So instead of saying the cup is to your left, a Gugu Yimithir speaker would say something like the cup is to the north of your plate. This way of speaking may sound strange to people used to egocentric directions, but for the Gugu Yimithir people, it's completely natural. In fact, speakers of this language are known for having an exceptional sense of direction. They're constantly aware of where they're in relation to the world around them, like living with an internal compass. What's fascinating is how this influences their perception of space and even memory. Studies have shown that speakers of languages like Gugu Yimithir tend to remember scenes and organize information geographically, not relative to themselves. Number 8. The word husband originally meant house owner. The word husband has a fascinating origin that reflects how language evolves alongside society. Originally, it didn't mean a married man at all. The word comes from the Old Norse term hispandi, which was a compound of hus, house, and bondi, occupier or owner. So, husband literally meant house owner or master of the house. It was used to describe someone, usually a man, who was in charge of a household, regardless of marital status. Over time, as societal structures shifted and marriage became more formally recognized, the term husband gradually narrowed in meaning. It came to refer specifically to a man married to a woman, particularly in the context of being the head of a family. This transformation reflects the historic expectations placed on men in marriage to provide, protect, and lead a household. Today, while the word husband is primarily used to denote a married man, its original meaning still lingers in words like husbandry, which refers to the care and management of resources, especially in agriculture. That old sense of stewardship and responsibility is still there, just in a more modern and nuanced form. Number 9. Butterflies were originally called flutterbys. The word butterfly might sound whimsical, but it has a surprisingly quirky origin. There's a popular belief that butterflies were originally called flutterbys, a name that perfectly captures their delicate fluttering flight. While it's unclear whether flutterby was ever the official or original name, many language enthusiasts think that the word butterfly may have evolved from a playful mishearing or swapping of sounds over time, a process known as a spoonerism. Flutterby certainly seems more fitting when you think about it. After all, these colorful insects do more fluttering than anything remotely related to butter. Some linguists believe that butterfly might have come from Old English words like butterfloge, which could refer to the yellowish color of some butterflies resembling butter. Others speculate it's linked to folklore about witches in butterfly form stealing milk or butter. Despite its strange journey, the name butterfly stuck, and flutterby became more of a poetic nickname or playful pun. Still, when you watch a butterfly dancing through a summer garden, flutterby does feel like the name that was meant to be. Number 10. In Tagalog, gigil means the urge to pinch something because it's so cute. In Tagalog, the word gigil captures a unique and intense feeling that doesn't have a direct English translation. It refers to the overwhelming urge to squeeze, pinch, or hug something because it's just so incredibly cute or adorable. Imagine seeing a chubby-cheeked baby giggle or a tiny puppy stumbling around. Giggle is that bubbling sensation you feel inside, almost like you can't contain your affection. It's a mix of delight, excitement, and the need to physically express just how irresistibly cute something is. Filipinos often say, nakakagigil, when they experience this, showing just how deeply rooted and relatable this emotion is in everyday life. Number 11. There's a language spoken only in whistles. In a remote village nestled in the mountains of northern Spain, people communicate in a language made entirely of whistles. This fascinating form of speech, known as silbo gomero, has been used for centuries on the island of La Gomera in the Canary Islands. It isn't just a set of simple sounds or a code, it's a fully developed language capable of expressing everything, from casual greetings to complex instructions, all through high-pitched whistles. Silbo gomero was born out of necessity. The rugged, mountainous terrain of the island made it hard for people to communicate across distances using regular speech. But whistles, with their ability to travel farther and more clearly than spoken words, offered a clever solution. The language mimics the phonetic elements of spoken Spanish, translating them into different tones and pitch levels. A skilled whistler can speak entire sentences that others can understand from as far as several kilometers away. It's amazing to think that while most of the world relies on speech or writing, a small community has preserved a way to speak through the wind. Number 12. The longest word in Turkish. Turkish is an agglutinative language, which means that it forms words by stringing together various suffixes, each one adding a specific grammatical or semantic meaning. This feature makes it possible to create extremely long and detailed words, especially in theoretical or humorous contexts. One famously cited example is,
Muvaffakiyetsizleştiricileştiriveremeyebileceklerimizdenmişsinizcesine.
this word has 70 letters and roughly translates to, as if you were of those whom we might not be able to easily turn into a maker of unsuccessful ones. It may sound convoluted in English, but in Turkish, each part of the word adds a clear and logical element to its overall meaning. The base of the word is muvaffakiyet, meaning success. From there, layers of suffixes are added to indicate negation, causation, ability, action, potential, hypothetical condition, and even a second-person plural suffix, making it a whole sentence wrapped into a single word. While such words are more of a linguistic curiosity than a practical tool, they reveal the power and flexibility of Turkish grammar. Thanks for watching and listening.